That you don't understand. It is not free to run an event. It costs money at every level. And one of the reasons, and this is great, I love whoever, thank you, Al, for connecting with the hotel person here. This is fantastic. Thank you so much. This is wonderful. Like, it was raining, you know, I was afraid it's going to rain again, and I wanted to accommodate. This is fantastic. Thank you so much. So, you're on Twitter and stuff? Yeah, y'all?
Don't use Twitter,
yeah. Yeah, well, you don't, but is the hotel, I mean, can we do something for the hotel?
I think so. No.
Oh, okay. Well, if we can't do something for the, well, we'll tweet out where it is, or Foursquare. We'll do something for the hotel in that way. Just to thank you so much for this space. But it costs money. Everything costs money, and unfortunately, I try to do it. You'll see a lot of events. I mean, they raise their prices, but I try to decrease the price, especially for people who are attending, and try to make it as affordable as I can, without necessarily, you know, losing my shirt in the process. So some people, anybody who's done an event before knows that there are absolute costs associated. But there's a perspective on YouTube that they're making so much money, but you never know what their financial situation is. They should never be, you know, completely transparent about it, because really it's none of anybody's business. Because it's going to be different for everybody. You don't know what costs they have beyond YouTube. You don't know, you know, what goes into an event. I'm not, you know, going to say, well, here's what we had to pay for the event, because that's kind of like, pay this, it's a little boring, but there are always costs. So it was, it's always interesting to mix perspectives in and see different perspectives. But I think our community actually improved after the blogs were introduced. Let me try it again. After the blogs were introduced, the decorum. That's what I was trying to say. How we are, like our candor. I think it was. Yeah, we do have a little bit of negativity, but those are usually run drive-by shootings. That, you know, they're in and out and they have no idea what they're doing. Other than if you ever threaten to unsubscribe, I will block you. Like, I will. I mean, yeah, we may have met and you know, Chris, I met you and you're great, but I'm gonna have to unsubscribe. I'll block you. I just have no problem with that. It's like, if I'm gonna do it, you just do it. Like, just don't tell me. Don't stab me in the back and tell me I'm stabbing you in the back. You know, just do it. Because otherwise, I'm going to block you.
I've done it, but I've always come back.
Oh, thank you. Fantastic. But then I must have missed the block. But what I'll do,
I
though...
didn't tell you, I just did it.
No, fantastic. Great. I have no problem with that at all. I always warn people when we meet for the first time. They say, oh, I'll follow you on Twitter. I'm like, I warn you, I post a lot. I will not be offended if you unfollow at all. And I do not expect anybody ever watches everything that I ever do, because that's a lot. Hey, John, you made it. Sweet. Yay. I was worried about you. You don't talk much, do you? So, great guy. John. The whole process of creating content and unsubscribing and whatnot. If anybody emails and says, I can't get to your channel, I'm blocked, I will always respond and always unblock, because they made the effort to move forward, and it may have been just like, they said something that I found kind of offensive, and I try to keep that as clean as I can, because that's the thing with YouTube comments, they are real people, and the people doing videos, they are real people, and sometimes there's actually, and I've talked about this, and I just do not know enough about it, not having a psychology or any kind of a technical background in terms of how the brain works, but there's actually a part of your brain, like your, I don't think it's maybe your limbic system, but basically your empathetic, you know, where your empathy comes from. It may shut down when you're interacting with the screen, because you're interacting with a screen. That's not a human being, and what some people forget is that there's absolutely another human being on the other side, and that's where it gets a little precarious. And I prefer not to elevate those types of comments or conversations, because I feel it's like you never feed the trolls. Well, the problem is that if one person does it, then another person thinks they can get away with it, and then before you know it, you've got. It's chaos, and it's not a very friendly environment. Yeah, you know, and so, you know, hey, I've had emotional responses too online. I mean, you've seen them, right? I couldn't think of the last one that I got emotional about, but I genuinely try not to do any kind of personal attacks, and if it happens, it's usually inadvertent, and I certainly don't elevate that when it happens in the channel. But that's usually, I mean, I'm never gonna say, you know, oh, well, fanboy stuff really makes me mad. And I'm like, dude, I'm like, here's my Nexus 4 review. Here, have it, you know, or here's my Surface Pro review. Like, yeah, I'm total fanboying here. Like, it's all Apple. Yeah, that's why I posted the other stuff. So you can't win. You can't win. So I always appreciate when someone else comes in and comments, "Did you see his Nexus 4 review?" And of course they never respond because they didn't. Is the answer. They didn't. Questions, comments, smart remarks?
Chris, what do you think are the positives and negatives of social media with focus on youth?
With the focus
on young people.
On young people. Youth. Okay. I thought you said on me, and I was like, well, social media is me. It is you too. Okay, so, and I realize that there are people in the room who are far younger than I. So I didn't grow up with the ability to share what I was thinking with the world, and that's probably the most dangerous thing that you can do, because what you don't realize is that the pen is mightier than the sword, and the tweet can work just as well as a pen. And when you put a thought out there, you may be feeling it at the time, and the older you get, and I hate saying it, man, I'm going to sound like an old man, the wiser you get, because you have different experiences, and you're going to have different experiences at 13 than you are at 31, and certainly riding the cusp of 40. I've met people online who are mature at 13 and immature at 31. I mean, it's not about the age; it's about your experience and ability to recognize the power that you have. And you may be feeling emotional about something, and I've said it before. I've been quoted a million times. Twitter's a great place to tell the world what you're thinking before you've had a chance to think about it. And it worked. I mean, same thing with YouTube. You can get on YouTube and say, "Oh my God, this product sucks," and blah, 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 but it may not suck, and you're just feeling that it sucks, and then it's there forever, and then a year from now, people are going to remember that, or, it could come back against you in a negative way. And I think it's an emotional maturity more than an age maturity that you have to recognize. And there are a lot of people on social media who are obviously not mature. I'm not talking about anybody in this room, present company excluded. But to develop that emotional maturity, there's a power there that I think cannot be understated enough. I don't know necessarily how to convey that other than to, and I think I've spoken to this a few times on YouTube, just remembering not just what you're doing, but recognize that you are impacting other people's lives, and you're putting yourself out there and opening yourself up to evil and people who are have less than kind intentions. And so that's another reason to put out a lot of positivity, is because you will often get back what you put out there. So if you put out a lot of negativity, is it a shock that you're getting negative stuff in return? No, it isn't. And trust me, if I had social media if I was your age and I had access to a Twitter account, I would probably not be in the same place that I am right now. Because there's an education that goes with it. There's that component of not just learning and experience, but having the emotional maturity to understand that you are potentially, you're saying things about other people, or you're putting out things about yourself that you may be putting yourself in a position that would cause you to be violated in some way, whether because you're opening the doors up for that, which is a big deal for bullying. I'm very grateful I didn't have social media when I was a kid, because I can only imagine not being able to turn that off, because I absolutely would have been bullied, and that's the reason why I don't take bullying these days. And I find trolls and people say negative things about anybody I know. You can say anything you want about me, and I may get mad, and I may come back in sarcasm. That's how you know I'm having a bad day. If I respond sarcastically to a trollish comment, it's because I'm having a bad day, and then I'll screen cap it because I think it's a funny response. And, feed the trolls. That's how you know I'm having a bad day. But if you make a personal attack against someone I know, like you say anything about Dad or Diane or anything like that, that's when you've crossed the line, because it's no longer about me and you, it's about you attacking someone I know. And that's bullying. I mean, any of that is bullying. And unfortunately, with younger people, because we'll all be older at some point. We're getting older right now. Right? Did you know that? That's how time works. We march forward. We march on. It'll get easier, but at a time when you're still developing mentally, because I think your brain isn't fully developed until like maybe 25, 30. It's different for females than it is males. Physiologically speaking, I'm not being sexist. I'm not saying it's a race. No one's going to win. We all have to get along, okay? But you're still developing those mental processes. And that would have been fine. Like, imagine if we all lived together. I mean, not the same. Okay. You kind of sounded off. Let's say we all lived in the same house. Okay, let's just go with that metaphor for a second. We lived in the same house. We know each other. We get to know each other, our dynamics. Well, that's fine because we know each other and we know that, one person can't eat cheese, otherwise he has problems with gas. And this other person, screams in her sleep or something. And and if anybody has problems with cheese and gas or screams in their sleep, I'm not trying to offend you. I'm just using this as an example. Well, it's fine because we all know each other, right? We're in the same house. But the moment you share that with the world and people lack context, that's where there may be issues. And that, I think, is the greater problem with social media is there's not a lot of context. Someone comes in, they see my review of iOS 7 and says, why do you never talk about Windows? Like, I talk about Windows all the time. I'm just not talking about it right now. And I don't have enough time in the day to explain that to everybody who puts that in there because they lack context, but it's not my responsibility to give them context, and that comes back to a personal responsibility. And it's kind of like the old joke, here, let me Google that for you, in much the same way, a lot of your questions, other than if I've genuinely not shared, like you asked a question that I may have recorded in video before, not a big deal, because we got a personal interaction here going on back and forth. I couldn't just send you a link, just watch my video. But we're having a personal interaction. It's the questions that are a bit more, have you ever done a video on Windows 8? Yes, I have, and I will then go over here, YouTube, Windows 8, Locker Gnome, here, have it, because I have. So it's a personal responsibility of the individual who's got those accounts to be responsible for themselves, because that's ultimately in life, that's all you can do. You can only be responsible for yourself. You can care for your friends and family, but you are in control of your faculties, and that's something that you may not realize. The younger you are, you may not realize, but again, it has nothing to do with age, because I know people who are older who still don't realize that there are other human beings on the internet, which sucks. I mean, I know it's great to have human beings on the internet. I'm just saying that it sucks that some people do that.
Hi.
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 Chris.
Chris, yes. That's the easiest way to remember. Yes.
Zev. Sorry. Okay, I'll stop.
Right after the Gets Better campaign, you were thinking about doing something yourself, and you seemed really into it, and then it kind of disappeared. So, I'm sure you were busy.
No, okay, so I still want to do something around bullying. And so again, Blogger Fair has been a great, I keep going back, sorry, your name again? Jeff. Keep going back to Jeff because he mentioned the thing about blogging in public, so he's my touch point right now for a blogging character. I wanted to do, what was her name? I want to say Amanda. She killed herself after doing one of those videos where she did the note cards thing. Amanda Todd? Thank you. I said Amanda, right? Yeah. Okay, I'm glad I remember the name. It just, I see this happen over and over again, and as someone who, I've done videos on bullying and some of my experiences with it, and I don't take it anymore, it's harder to have, especially when you're in the middle of it. Like, I can respond to an email and say, it gets better, but I don't have to experience it, and I know that I have experienced it, but I don't have to be in the middle of it, and ultimately, whoever's getting bullied has to go through it. So I know that video is a great way of connecting with people, and blogging is a great way too. And so if I had, the problem with doing any kind of event is, again, costs. And so I've been trying to find the right partnerships with it, potentially bigger organizations that don't have a similar agenda, because that's the problem, is they all have their own agenda. But if I see something in it, it would probably be associated with Blogger Fair, if only because some of these YouTube personalities either get bullied or have been through bullying before and tend to have, community who are being bullied. So it would probably be kind of like a tack on to that. If only because I would be able to present it in that sense. And a lot of people turn to YouTube anyway as not just escape, but a way to connect with other people. And I get asked all the time. There's no right way of doing it, a video. You can do it any which way, but pardon me. I enjoy video more because it's that interpersonal connection. Like, I really honestly doubt that any one of you would be in this room if it wasn't for YouTube, even though I've been writing blogs for, God, since before blogging was a word. Some people remember the old Locker Gnome newsletter. Hey, you made it. Some people remember the old Locker Gnome newsletter from way back in the day, even before Tech TV, but very rarely anymore. Some people remember Tech TV, but that's not as often. It's all YouTube. And because I can stand in this room and it's like you're watching a YouTube video happen right now. In fact, I know someone's recording it and the cameras have dropped, most of them. But I'm the same way in real life as I might be on camera. I just may be talking about different things or have a different dynamic in front of an audience, like a real audience. And I do my best even with the camera to treat it like another person. But but that's wise. Bless you. I put my personality out there, and I'm okay with that. And by doing that, I make it easier for other people to say I can do that too. And that's kind of a part of finding your own voice and finding what makes you happy. And sometimes I didn't have people ask me like role models. I don't know if I necessarily had any, because what I'm doing now I had no idea I could even do. I mean, it wasn't even possible to do what it is that I do now. And so with bullying, trust me, there's I'm getting the connection. Just hey, come on! I'm known for long YouTube videos. You knew what you were walking into. It's going to be a 3-minute thing, and I was going to shut up. And obviously unedited. So by having that personal connection with video, and if I can trip through the sentence here, I'm conducting myself right now much like how you see me conduct myself on YouTube, right? Yeah. Ish. Yes. Yeah. I mean, yes. TLDR is a bit more, poppy and everything, but the vlog is very interpersonal if I'm talking to somebody. That's a part of knowing who I am and being able to share it. And for people who don't have a friend or feel that they don't have a friend, and Diana's even talked about it too. It's a one-to-many relationship, but some people who watch the vlogs may see us more than they might see their own family. So in many ways, y'all may be what would be considered family or friends because you know more about me than I might know about me. Especially if like I have dried coffee on my lip and then I notice when I'm editing, I'm like, crap, but I gotta keep the thing on. Drives me nuts. So I'm getting used to like waking up in the morning, going like this, but I'll forget and I'll get dried crap on my lips. So I apologize. I apologize for. Does that offend people in London? The dried stuff. Okay, good. Good. This is gonna happen again. And I have to find a good porter or a stout before I leave. That is on my agenda. That personal connection that you have really means a lot for someone who is being bullied because when I was going through that experience, I couldn't turn to an internet. There was no internet. I couldn't turn to people that I felt connected with just to feel like I was less alone than I was. I had a great family. I had great family support. But that component of vlogging just makes the internet more personal. And that's where I think vlogging really works. And it's why I've kept it in the same, the Locker Room channel, Chris Pirillo, whatever. But to me, it's as much a part of my life as anything else. And so as far as the bullying, like an event or something where people can kind of come together, I think it goes hand in hand. I just haven't figured out like the specifics around it, but I think it goes hand in hand with vlogging because you're sharing your experiences out there. In fact, the girl, some of you may have seen this, but when I comment or like or add, when I have activity in YouTube, you can see like my likes and shares or whatever. The girl that Diana met at, so you may have missed this vlog and it's okay. She met someone at Costco who recognized her the other week. This is yeah. You guys are just saying that, I know. Okay, I remember. Yeah, what was her name? Okay, no, I don't even know her name. So I did, but so I looked at her channel. She commented on the video that came out the day that Diana was recognized, not the day that you saw that Diana was recognized. Because I do it 2 days before. Otherwise, I would go crazy because it takes time to do a video and so I have it 2 days behind schedule. So all this stuff, and I'm glad someone's recording it for posterity because then I'll like it and favor. You see, this is the secret. Like if you do something that I'm in or whatever, I will like, share, comment, whatever. On anything that you might share. I do that all the time just because it's kind of fun. It's like, yay, someone else, liked me enough to do that. I'm going to return the favor. I looked at her channel, this girl, a young girl apparently, and I looked at her channel and she had 4 videos about depression. Like only 4 videos in her channel were depression. This young, beautiful woman, and she had recorded this thing like maybe a week before we knew that she existed, and I'm watching this video, and it was just to me it was kind of gut wrenching. I mean, she was just being she's being, it was very, it was visceral. You know, I just watched her talk about how she didn't live with her family anymore. She moved across the state, was depressed because she was 23 years old. She said, I feel like I'm at the time of my life where I should be partying, but I don't feel like I want to do that. I come home, I'm with my boyfriend, and I don't want to do anything. And you can see she starts welling up, she starts tearing up, and she's just depressed. But she puts it out there, right? And she's got 0 views, right? No one knows she exists. So I commented. I said, number one, it gets better. Number two, a suggestion might be, go volunteer for something, get out of the house. And number three, I'm a homebody too. I don't leave the house all that often. That's not a joke. I'm not an introvert or an extrovert, because obviously I have no problem speaking or putting myself out there, but I wouldn't necessarily, be the guy in the bar who's all, I would have to know people around me to be a bit more gregarious. Teaching you a lot of new words, I'm assuming, unless you use that in England all the time. I was so gregarious today. I don't know how you do it there. Sorry, can you step on your foot? And sadly, you will be taller than me in another month. That's not a deep laugh. That's definitely not a joke. It's something I've come to learn over time. The last time I saw you, I'm getting shorter now as I get older. It's like, hey Chris, what's going on?
Wait till we start shrinking.
Yeah, tell me about it. Yeah, I've seen my grandpa and I'm like, wow, okay, I've got something to look forward to there. And then Dad's ears keep getting bigger. Really? Seriously, his ears are huge now. His nose used to be big, but I think his ears have taken over his nose at some point. They just keep creeping this way and out.
But you hear less.
Yes, he does. Yeah, you hear that. What is up with that? Nature, you cruel beast. Yeah, so she put this blog out there, and I commented. I think she appreciated that too, but she never got into the idea that she was being bullied. But you can definitely tell that she was just going through pain. And after I commented, other people saw that I had commented, because I didn't share the video really outward. I just commented on it, and then people saw that I commented, so they jumped in too. And I think a lot more people suffer from bullying or depression and or just a mental disconnect. And I think that's, to me. And I've said it before, so pardon the repeated expression, but the internet is more about the series of connections with people than it is about a series of tubes or wires. What was the Ted Stevens, senator in the U.S. from Alaska, said, it's a tube, the internet's tubes.
It's like a truck.
Yes, something like that.
It wasn't a truck, it was a series.
Tubes. That's right. Yes, we love our tubes in America. We just don't, have them. Like underground, that is, like the YouTube. Seriously, I mean, it was perfect. YouTube. In the tube, you. The thing that the internet does, though, is it breaks down those barriers, and I think video goes a long way with not just expression, but also to know that you're putting it out there, and without judge. Some people judge, and I'm not necessarily cool with that, but to those who don't judge and they've been in the same situation, you realize that you're not alone. And so video's gone a long way, and that's YouTube specifically in helping people better connect with one another. So whether they suffer from depression, like Diana was going through something a couple months ago before she took off to Texas the first time, and she put it out there, and I thought it was really bold for her to do. It was just in a single blog. It was just like 30 seconds long or whatever it was. She didn't really want to belabor it, but she was kind of thrust into this. And she knew what it was. She knew exactly what I did. I said, "Are you sure?" I'm like, she thought when she asked me to start vlogging that it was just going to be me. I'm like, dude, okay, I can't just cut you out of my life. It's not going to happen. It's not easy to do. But the when it's whether it's depression, bullying, or just feeling alone, that is the power of the internet. Especially when you're younger and you feel alone. You're the only one who likes Star Wars and iPhones and Minecraft. Well, obviously those are bad examples, but you have a fascination with fire extinguishers for some reason. You feel like you're the only one, and then you Google it or Bing it, and you guys use Bing over here? Oh, great, just like the US. So perfect. We'll get along swimmingly. You find that group that you're not alone, and that there's a greater power with that. And I think video is a great gateway to not just eliminating bullying, and it's not by having campaigns like It Gets Better. I think it's more, because I've seen those campaigns, and they're great, but it's more about those relating those personal stories of having gone through these experiences, and people do that with blogging if they if it's time to kind of reveal that about themselves.
Still on that theme, not so much in terms of depression, but I find it quite difficult to motivate myself every morning, especially now that I've graduated and now I work at 9 to 5. It's just, I like my job, it's just I can't get up early enough and I'm always late to work, which isn't good. So how do you sort of find yourself getting up in the morning and sort of feeding the passion every day? Because you do a lot.
Yeah, I do. And by the way, this nonverbal communication of me holding my arms is not me saying that I'm standoffish, just so you know. Some people know that this, actually, if you ever see someone doing this, it could mean that they're being standoffish. I just feel like crossing my arms. So, you guys really didn't need to know that. I just thought I would relay this stupid information. You know, my job or my career is myself, so it's a little different for me. And it wasn't really something that I did training for. My motivation, though, like in doing the blog, it takes, there are times, and I've even pushed off a lot of the time to the next day because I just run out of time at the end of the day. I'm tired. I'm just tired. But the value of doing it is telling the story, and that's as much fun for me. And I get a kick out of it too. You know, to put something out there to know that people are paying attention. You know, that's valid enough of a motivator for me to continue to do it. And you know, I wouldn't say that there's great money in blogging either. You know, you'd certainly probably, if you're looking to generate revenue from YouTube, you're better off probably going the information route and sharing information, things that people are looking for, rather than random stuff or entertaining in general. Blogging works, but at a level that the industry is still kind of getting used to, and that would be like product placement or sponsorship. Like, for example, this trip was sponsored by British Airways. That was pretty overt. Like, I wouldn't be here if British Airways had not covered travel and all that stuff. But I was able to give them, what they wanted. They wanted to make sure something happened with social and what happened, with tweets and what have you. The vlog kind of came in as a bonus. I'm like, hey, I'm going to do it anyway. But it was only because of all the stuff that I've done to be able to get that opportunity. And so I know that everything that I do and put out there, you never know what someone's going to see. You don't know what they're going to watch or what they're going to do with that. So I don't know how anybody finds me anymore. Maybe one video or just maybe notoriety of the fact that I do them in general. So that's enough for me because I know that the value that I have, it may not come from the video itself. Like this video. I'm sorry, I missed your name?
Jeremy.
Jeremy?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What he's recording, it's out there, right? It's great, cool. Like, that's awesome. So someone stumbles upon it, perfect. It's obviously, something that is out there, and whether it's in my channel or somebody else's, it's still me, right? And so the more of that I do for myself, the more there's a possibility of being picked up and being able to do fun things like come to London for the first time and meet really awesome people like y'all, except for that one guy. I'm gonna have everybody guess who's that one guy. It's you. Who's you? He's talking about you. So where's John? Did John disappear? John? Oh, is he back there? Still back? You still good? Okay, great. Talkative. Yeah, see, that's the problem. When I get to talking, I forget to vlog. Someone should be vlogging me. Here, someone want to vlog? Yeah. All right, here. He's standing. Sorry about that. Sorry.
Chris, I've got a question.
Yes, I have an answer.
Since a lot of people on YouTube are now in the tech industry, a lot of them are still in home offices like you, but like John from Techno Buffalo, he's moved to an office. But how would you say that you keep your home life and your work life separate since it's all there in one building?
I don't. Yeah, I don't. That's the
keep
answer.
it all mixed together.
I've never had the luxury, and I mean it is. I see people who work, and there's always a trade-off, right? There's never a perfect situation, and I've always intersected my personal life with my work life. But that's a part of, I think, what has made my work life work is having my personal life integrated. And going all the way back to 1996, when I was just doing nothing more than writing, I got to know a lot of people that way. Although the funny thing is, my demographic over time has shifted. So I used to attract individuals who older males, like people who were retired and into computers in general. And because of doing things on YouTube, there are more people like you that I'm connecting with. Oh, it's raining again. Glad we're inside. Thank you so much. The man responsible for keeping us inside, Al, made the connection. I'm very happy. It's probably best to keep your home life separated from your personal life because you're potentially exposing yourself. I just don't have a problem with it. Because I think that brings a certain dynamic or a charm that only I can bring. Because there are a lot of people out there who do similar videos, right? They do review videos, they do tech stuff, ton. Right, that's fine. So what separates you from everybody else? Well, in my head, what separates you from everybody else is you're you. So the more I know you, the more I'm going to appreciate what you're doing, and I'm going to have context to what you're doing. And so by adding in a layer of, I'm doing TLDR and you hear Wicket barking. Well, he's not, you may think, is that a sound effect? No, it's really Wicket barking. But you know Wicket, and you know that he eats his own poop, and it's crazy. It really happens.
I'm blind the dog.
What's that?
I'm blind the dog.
Yes. In Pixie, and you know their personality. Well, you may not be able to tell them apart yet, but give it time. Even I screw it up sometimes. So by adding that personal dimension to it, I feel that gives me a value. Even if I'm talking about an iPhone or the latest camera or whatever, people will have the opportunity to have that context, which should bring greater perspective to the things that I'm sharing. Whether it has to do with technology specifically or not. So I find it as much of a value to do this. Am I really that boring? I'm so Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Name?
Nice to meet you. Gavin.
Gavin?
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Mario.
Mario? Thank you. Nice to meet you. Thank you for coming. Really appreciate it.
Keep up the good work.
Hey, keep up the watching. I never know what to say with that. It's kind of, like you say thank you to someone, and what is it, like, have a safe flight, you too. Like, wait, they're not flying. Isn't that awkward? You never really know. Yeah, so that's my value, and I think that's the biggest thing that you could do is show more of your personality, because the more of your personality you show, the more, some people may not like that, fine, they don't like it, but I think you have a deeper connection with people when you're able to be more human than just a talking head that just only does this. At least I like to believe that. That's my perspective on the personal business, and it sucks sometimes, it really does, because there are times that I don't want to be, I just want to take a day off, but I can't.
Chris, in terms of webcams, because when I interview bands, for example, on the radio, and I always say about webcams or Skype, a lot of people are scared of being put in front of a webcam.
Yeah.
Do you get a lot of people asking advice about that? Because like you, I have no problem looking in front of a camera, but a lot of people do.
Yeah.
A lot of the time have to give a lot of voice to people about that, or not?
Well, in terms of advice for being comfortable in front of the camera, it's difficult because I think we're our own worst enemy in every single way, right? We hold ourselves back. Every one of us holds ourselves back, and I know that some people are intent to blame other people, and in some cases they may be holding you back. That's an absolute. But in so many ways, we psych ourselves out. When I was invited to do the skydiving with the Golden Knights, I didn't want to do it. John and Callie had asked me, "Do you want to do it, skydiving?" I'm like, "No, no, that will not be happening." It's like, come on, it's the Golden Knights in the Army, and they know what they're doing. I'm like, and I thought about it for a second. I'm like, if I'm going to do it, and I would never, ever in my entire life wanted to skydive. Ever. Never would have imagined it. And I psyched myself out. And when I did that experience, I was nervous, but I got on the plane and strangely enough, it was an eerie kind of calm. Like I gave myself over to the experience, and which was just nerve-wracking. I'll just never forget it. Oh God. I would probably do it again with that team. I don't know if I would necessarily, go on vacation and do skydiving, but I've done it once. I can say I've done it once. Once is enough. But I just gave myself over to the experience, even though it was not. It put myself out of my comfort zone because again, I'd psych myself out. Now, if you had a spider, like a tarantula right there, no way in hell I'd get the hell out of London. I'd just make a beeline for the nearest exit. It would not happen. Like there's some things I will not do, but it's all in my head, right? Yeah. And so that camera, when you have context to, it's being recorded. It's going to be out there in permanence, and that's one of the reasons I like video more than photos. I don't mind still photos, but inevitably that's why I'll do like a mugging, you know, weird face because I'm putting myself out there because inevitably I'll study the photo and go, oh man, I had spinach in my teeth or something. And it's my hair was it's always messed up. But I mean something. But I'll stare at the photo. But the video is more dynamic because you're paying attention to my nonverbal communication as well as my verbal communication. There's a lot more going on. So I find video freeing for a lot of the reasons why some people are afraid of it. They don't want that permanence. They don't know who's going to see it, and they're afraid of that. So I to help them over that hurdle. Of course, if they're uncomfortable, they're uncomfortable. But I always, explain that the camera is another person. It's just another person, and the lens is another person. And then when you treat the camera like that, it's easier. And that's my number one trick. Don't psych yourself out. That's how I've fainted before when they've drawn blood because I psyched myself out. Really stupid. It's always been my fault that I fainted, and that's never been vlogged though. Because I do not like blood. So no blood, please, in the room. If you're gonna bleed, do it elsewhere. But yeah, treating it like another person. That sometimes may add context. They're still gonna be nervous. I'm like, you're talking to me, but just pretend I'm the lens.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, I've got to go. I was trying to
Oh.
a few favours.
Yeah.
That's all great.
Not at all.
Really, please?
Yeah, absolutely, for sure.
Yes.
Make sure you goodbye. Sorry, your name?
Jack.
Jack. Nice to meet you. And everybody. You give him the face. Sorry if I have the same face in everybody's photo. It's like a Chris Pirillo cardboard cutout. Oh, Chris Pirillo came to London. Oh yeah, right. Oh, fantastic.
And he said he wanted to did you get a video saying hi to him?
Sure. David, why are you still in Florida? Why aren't you in London? We have sunshine-ish and a lot of people. It's nice to do this video for you in London.
Thank you. And one more, could I just get a picture of the vlog channel?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead. The funny thing is, I totally forgot I was going to give the base of the camera. That's the second base. I was going to give it away. No, thank you, Jack. Appreciate it. At Vlogger Fair, and I totally spaced it off. So there's still a chance of having that original base of the Vlogger Fair camera, which is at home, and I don't want it anymore. I hate collecting things, other than minifigs. I don't hate collecting everything. Garbage Pail Kids, minifigs.
Postcards.
Postcards. I don't know if I collect postcards. I mean, I have them, but I wouldn't consider it. It's stacked.
Lego. Yeah.
What's that?
You collect Lego a lot.
Yes, absolutely. Although just the minifigs, not so much the question.
Hi, Chris.
Yes.
I remember watching one of your videos on the Trig-Solve app that you had.
The which one?
The way it was Trig-Solve. It would solve trigonometry with your iPhone.
Did it? I showed an app that did that?
Yeah, you did.
Really?
Anyway,
Okay, fantastic.
you wished that you had it when you were in high school.
On a calculator.
No, you wish you had the iPhone.
Oh, I wish. Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But I've heard you've also said things like you kind of wish that you didn't have the internet because you'd overexpose certain things here and there. What are the costs right now, you think, of having so much internet and so much access to such a wide body of information? Because you have, would it be difficult for an individual to try to gain traction and popularity when there's so much content out there?
So, how do you break through that? How do you deal with it?
Yeah.
If you want to have content be paid attention to, I guess is that kind of to put a finer point on it in Americanese. I'll go back to. I'm sorry, your name again?
Yanni.
Yanni?
Yeah.
What Yanni said. Yanni? Okay. Verifying because I'm turning into dad. My ears are going to get bigger. You're going to tune into TLDR one day. I'm like, when did Dumbo take over? I'll go back to that. Personality, and that ultimately is going to separate you from everybody else. And it takes. You have to do a lot. What I've learned though, and I've mentioned this to a few people, like they've got a great Twitter following, and not just the amount of numbers, because it's difficult to look at subscribers and see that as everything. But typically, if you have a higher YouTube engagement, you're going to have a higher social engagement, like all across the board. And I found that to be true, and I'll go back to the idea that when you're on YouTube, am I boring you?
No.
Okay. You're more tired than I am, I'm sure. I'm kidding you.
I've had it for a couple of days, that's fine.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's the idea that video can interconnect you with others, and by adding more personality, you're giving more context to the videos that you're doing anyway. There are two types of bloggers, and I learned this through Clintus McGintis, who was one of the original bloggers long before YouTube at a time when it's hard to for many people to remember, but that vlogging in its inception wasn't on YouTube. It was individuals producing videos on their blog and publishing independently because they didn't want to give YouTube their content. Well, back when I had to make a decision, like, do I use YouTube or produce elsewhere? Well, at that point, I really wasn't doing a lot of videos. I did one or two in the beginning of the YouTube channel just to try to find my voice in it, and didn't have really the right path to go down, something that would work for me at that time. And I said, no, there's more people out there who don't know who I am than do know who I am, and so there's a greater chance of connecting with community in a place where the rest of the community is. I got to go to where community is. And I've said that about community in general. I got to go to where they are. But I started to produce more videos that were more informative, so that's the educational component of my edutainer label. The education part is the crux of how most people would have discovered, because they were looking for information, and either my personality pulled them in or it repelled them, or they were ambivalent. That's the thing. You don't want when you're building audience or community, you're not in the middle. You guys are on the extreme positive side. Everybody who's in this room, because you made an effort to be bored off your rocker this afternoon and get wet and then come to a basement. Which is actually a gas chamber. Just so you're all dead. This is a happening. So you want them on one side or the other. So you either want them to love you or you want them to hate you. One side or the other. And hopefully more of them love you. But when you add vlogging on top of that, or having information, you may find you get better traction across the board. But there are people who just vlog, period, and they're going to have potentially a more difficult time finding that audience. Because those are the only things they do, is just like, if you don't do another type of video, like a beauty video, tech stuff, entertainment, having a vlog can accelerate that, but not having that entertainment component, just nothing more than, hey, I'm brushing my teeth right now, they may not know who you are, and they may not care enough to know you. You're just throwing your story out there without any relevance. They don't have context or enough context yet. So there are people who've done that very well. I mean, they've got a unique story, a unique experience, and they share it, and they know how to present themselves, and whatever they're doing resonates. But ultimately, what will spell the difference between someone who's going to succeed and someone who's going to continue to spin their wheels, at least with vlogging, not so much the information stuff, because obviously if you don't know what you're talking about or you can't present yourself in that way, you're going to fail anyway. But the vlogging component, the less of a personality or story that they have, or inability to share that effectively, you're going to continue to spin your wheels. And unfortunately, there are people who just they've got their hearts in the right place, but maybe with a little bit of coaching it can come out. But it's kind of like it's an art. And I'm not an artist by any stretch, but it's to be able to do it and to stick with it takes time, and to have something that other people find valuable in one way or another, whether it's just wasting 10 minutes a day, or they're looking for information or they think it's fun. It's going to be tied into you as someone who's putting it out there. And even though you may think, and I don't know you from Adam. I don't know if your name is Adam or if there's an Adam in the room. But it's a saying we say in America, I don't know you from Adam. Trying to break down the language barriers, people work with me. That just putting that information out there may not be enough. That your personality isn't. It's not the. I hesitate to say this. It's not the wrong personality, but it may not translate well in video. And especially if there's no relevance to what you're putting out there. So it's something to consider. I mean, everybody's got a different approach to it, and everybody absolutely should have a different approach to it. But I'll always go back to be genuine, be yourself, put your personality into it, decide what your boundaries are. I obviously have very few boundaries. Little boundaries. I have few boundaries. I've decided to go that way. But you have to decide that for yourself, like where you're going to draw the line, where you're going to stop, in terms of how much you let someone in. And for some people, it's not showing them their house. For me, it is. It doesn't bother me a bit. But it just takes time. And with so many other people producing this stuff, again, your biggest value, unless you've got something really unique, you got a unique job, you got something unique, you've created something, That's unique. Your personality, you are ultimately different from everybody else, and that I just go back to that, especially with video. That is going to be one of the biggest assets that you have, which has frustrated me over the years because I didn't want that to be my biggest asset. I'm not saying I have a big ass. I'm just saying like I was mugging.
Chris.
Yes.
Shay Carr recently said that he sort of, he's got a huge audience, and he says,
yeah.
He says that when he's talking to camera, he's already thinking about the reaction he's going to get, and he says things either to get a reaction, but he wants to move away from that. Do you find yourself doing a similar thing, whether it's in the blogs or TLDR, or that you know not specifically you're saying something to get a specific reaction, but you know how people will react when you say it? Do you moderate how you say it because of that?
Let's see here. You know, the funny thing is, every time I think something's funny, no one else does. Like, and it's like, really? I thought that was hilarious. Like when I did the what was the de-articulator the other day. People liked it, but I'm like, hey, I can do it every Friday, and then they're like, no, don't do it every Friday. I'm like, oh man, it'll be kind of fun. Yeah, I do it here, but I don't. I won't do it. So a de-articulator, if you missed it, is like an app you can install on your phone. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna do it. And it feeds your audio back to you like a second later. And I thought it was fun. I'm like, I'll do it for a TLDR. People genuinely thought it was funny, but that was like a hit or miss. I didn't know how people were going to react, and so a lot of the things that I do, I try not to think about how someone's going to respond. I just do it, and knowing they may like it, they may not like it, it's always a risk worth taking. It's more difficult though. It's easier to do things like this for me than it is, believe it or not, in the room with people than it is for me to do a video, because I have that reaction. I'll say something that I think is genuinely funny, and then I can't hear a laugh. I don't know. I can only go by a comment like LOL. You know, like okay, I think they got the joke, or I think they thought it was genuinely funny, or they caught the thing that I wanted them to catch, or I'll make an obscure like the Monty Python song, and like, oh yeah, I remember that song. Okay, great. I put it out there and it caught on. But I don't necessarily do it for a reaction, and I don't necessarily edit myself to try to get a reaction. It just happens organically, hopefully. One way or the other, as long as someone's paying attention, cool. Although sometimes I want the joke. Thank you.
In the past video, you went about plans you have for your home office and recording setup. Have you got anything you plan to do, like boom mics? Or...
Yeah, see, I want to do a boom mic. When Apprentice 8 came out to film the vlogging documentary, they brought a really great boom mic, or it wasn't a boom mic, was it? Yeah, it looked like a Death Star. And I mean, it's expensive, but that's not what's holding me back. I just haven't followed up. Like, what do I need to buy? Because I would rather have that hanging over than the shotgun that I have on my camera. I haven't done much on the home office because it's just like, well,
you changed the lighting and stuff.
Yeah, the lighting changed to the what are they? They kind of screw into the holes in the ceiling.
You can change the direction.
Yes, but I don't change the direction once I have the lighting set up. So sometimes that frustrates me because I don't have a perfect lighting in the home office. So sometimes I have to hold things a certain way and you'll see a shadow. I'm like, shadow. But it works well enough. But yeah, I haven't made much. I haven't needed to. I haven't had a motivation to change things up as of late because it's working well enough. Nothing's broken. Yes.
You know Google Plus is now brought out the new, like, the brand name, so you could have it as your Google Plus name. I was like, you could have it so like David Franken's what David Franken's
sure.
The creative one.
Yeah.
I was just wondering why you haven't done that.
Oh, the YouTube crossover?
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to do it. The problem is, so this is a challenge here. More people, I think, know Chris Pirillo than know my handle, Locker Gnome. And I think a lot of people like David are kind of in the same situation where they know David, but they created one here and there. I haven't made the decision yet, but the moment that those two things merge, Google Plus and YouTube, because they're going that direction anyway, is probably the time I'll make the decision to go Chris Pirillo. The thing is I publish a lot more of the written content on LockerGnome.com, which is legacy stuff. And I still talk about it because it's like I want to abstract myself from LockerGnome as much as I can. So even deals.lockergnome.com or lockergnome.com or anything.lockergnome.com is I've tried to push myself away, even though I wanted to still have it there. It's less within the Pirillo universe, but the video is very personal. Google Plus is kind of in between. I got some Locker Room stuff, but it's also Pirillo. But it'll be great because the moment it's a possibility. The moment merging those two things together would be awesome. But I see at this point now I don't know if I can talk about something, so I'm not going to talk about it. Either way, there would be a very good thing that could happen from merging my Google Plus account with my YouTube account. But I expect that to happen, and when it happens, I want someone holding my hand because I do not want to lose any of that.
Chris, I was going to say, what do you see as the future of YouTube?
The future of YouTube. Honestly, they need to do a fantastically better job with comments and community. This is the reason I turned off comment ratings, and I've done that for the greater part of a year, and I've had people like David or Lamar ask, hey, have you done that? Or, why did you do it? I did it because inevitably, I can't check all 5,000 plus videos, and every time I would go to look, it would be the most insipid, negative, rude, pointless comment that was number one. Like, they got thumbs up. Rarely would it be the other way around. And I'm like, why would I elevate that negativity? Why would I want that to be something that somebody sees when they come and watch that video? No. That's why I think that, that's why I turned it off. And the comment ratings for me are not coming back. I've recommended that for all content producers. Because I know that there may be a valuable comment that could get elevated. The problem is that there's so much negativity that gets bred in comments that you're running the risk of someone who has no idea who you are. They run into a video, the first thing they see is a twerp, like right at the top. I'm like, no, I'm sorry, but post your own video. You got a YouTube channel, you want to post negativity, do it there. So that's why I made the conscious decision to turn off comment ratings. But what YouTube could do with that, because a lot more work could be done with comments. So what I would like to have happen is, because I know usernames. I get to know you. You can tell me your name unless you use your name on Google Plus or YouTube. I may not know you, but I may recognize like either avatars or handles because I'll see the comment over and over and over and over again, or not the comment, sorry, the commenter or the person over and over again. What I would like to be able to do is flag certain people to say, yes, this person is positive. Yes, this person is absolutely, I would consider them a person in my community. Or to know that to know that this person has liked your videos, they've liked, not every one of them, I don't think I've never, done that, but they've liked these videos or they've commented this many, you get an idea of a profile of a person, and that should give a higher or heavier weight to your comment versus someone who's just driving by and saying something insipid. And unfortunately, YouTube hasn't done that, and I think it's catastrophic. Because it destroys the value that is being built between the someone who's putting video out there and the person who's actually experiencing it. They need to do a better job at tying that together. And I've given them ideas. I said, give me weight. If you've I want to know. I look at your username. I have no idea how many times you've commented, what the sentiment of your comments are, if you've liked, if you've shared, if you've helped other people. I can't flag you as someone, and not negatively flag, but like flag you as someone like, yes, I want this as a person as a community, moderator, so that they have the ability to do something that I would not necessarily be able to see in a comment thread. But I have no control over that. And I also want you to be able, or I want to be able to have those statistics be surfaced so that other people can see that you are a positive influence in the community and not just another, face in the crowd. So that not only, I think, works to the advantage of people who are participating positively, but also encouraging that behavior. And it's another reason why I'm also very not adamant. What's another word I'm looking for? Come on, you're English. Help me. I'm also very passionate. No, like forceful. I'm what?
Determined.
Determined. Yes, I think that's fair. Close enough. I'm determined to eliminate negativity from the channel, and that's where I think YouTube needs to do some dramatic improvements. And I don't know if they're going to get there. Like like Google Plus has been great. I mean, yeah. Oh, +1 a comment. Oh, it's great. Great. It's a thread that has nothing to do with Android. Yet all the comments in the thread are about Android, and they're all +1 to This is not anything about Android. Why am I getting comments about Android? Why are they looking like they're popular comments and they have nothing to do in context? So here's why. Google does not understand social. There's not a single human being who works at Google who gets social. That's a problem. That's a problem. Wow, I wasn't expecting applause on that one.
Video to Google.
Great. Well, they know. I've been very vocal about that. Even on Google Plus, I'm like, you guys, you get your head out of your ass. I mean, you've got what you call a social layer. And people get mad at me for this. I use Google Plus. I talk about it all the time. I find that I have great connections there on as much as I might on Facebook or YouTube or Twitter or anything, because it's another social connection point. That's great. The problem is the tool set, as Google puts it together, they still do not understand community. At their deepest level, they don't have anybody who's paying attention. You know, they're engineers, which is great. You need engineers. I love engineers. But the problem is that they're engineering something for people to use to connect with one another. And unfortunately, just enabling a +1 on a comment gives no context. And without context, you have no appreciation. And without appreciation, it's just another face. It's another thing. And that is, I think, potentially a turning point for YouTube, which, let's face it, YouTube works not because it's video. Hell, we could upload video to Vimeo. Why don't we upload video to Vimeo? Where's the community?
YouTube.
So when you have community that's there and you don't empower that community, so now you can hear me really getting like I get into it because I know it's like I've been just like I want to write. I don't want to strangle someone. That sounds bad. I can't get arrested for that in the UK. Well, not for strangling, but for pretending to strangle someone. No, I'm not going to strangle it. No, I just want to take them by their lapels if they're wearing lapels and just, what are you thinking? Because they have that ability to better make the videos that are being produced produce more positivity out of them. And it's another reason why, and I've gone around and around on the like versus dislike button. Well, to me, I understand a dislike as a personal gesture, but as a social gesture, it's a negative gesture. Like, the back button is a great way of disliking something, and never returning is a great way of disliking something. But unfortunately, especially, imagine if you put, this is why I can see when someone likes something, I can't see when someone dislikes something.
Yeah.
And why that frustrates me is because, well, why? What did you dislike? Both are ambiguous, but only one of them is a negative ambiguity. And when you have that in the mix, it just like when I did the stupid drive videos, it's like, I was like, did it the first time, and apparently I pointed the camera the wrong way. It's like, okay, we need to do it again, and I was running short on time. But just seeing the dislikes, I'm like, it's frustrating because it took time, and I took a risk. I didn't know whether they, how people were going to react, but I figured I'd do it. But having that negativity put out there only encourages more negativity. It's a more and it's not to say, oh, I'm glad someone said that, and then you just pile on. What's that? Absolutely, it's a snowball effect, and I'd rather see every kind of snowball effect being positivity, and Google doesn't get that. It's more than just a YouTube video. It's a person who's putting something out there. Then they may put hours of time. I'm sorry, where'd the individual go with the hat? He's gone? Alright, well, I was going to put him out as an example or shake his hand. Well, anyway, you may have spent, a day on editing this video and you put it out there, you put so much time in it, and then all you see is negativity. Would that encourage you to do more or less? Well, probably less, because we're not motivated by negativity. That's a horrible motivator. Other than a motivator of, when you're, it's a fight or flight. There's a spider there, you're afraid, that's a bad thing, you gotta go. But that negativity, it breeds more negativity. And that, I think, is YouTube's, it's not even a monumental hurdle. It really isn't. They have the data on you. They could tell you whether or not you are, you've done positive things, or I've flagged you as someone who's, yes, this person's good. This person is, and sometimes I will. I'll look through, and this is how I know the comments. Like, I know this person, they're positive, but I can't show that to the rest of the community. I can't put a star next to their name. And are you good? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, yeah. I can't put a star next to their name, so that now imagine if you have no idea who I am, right? Which obviously is not the case because we're all in the same room because of me. But imagine you have no idea who I am. You run across the first video. You have no idea who I am. You have no context. You don't know that I have any degree of intelligence, and I probably don't, but like around the topic that I'm talking about, you have no idea. Well, it's the same thing with commenters, right? Or it's the same thing with your community. If you don't have the ability to elevate them, there's no reputation. There's zero reputation in what we have on YouTube and in a lot of networks. There's zero reputation. I don't mean verified account. Verified is nothing. I'm talking about your reputation. And what YouTube could do to improve is, number one, kill the 500 error for once and for all, which I see every once in a while. Oh, sorry, server error. People have been contacted. Yeah, right. But actually do something to increase positivity and add reputation layers specifically to community. And by doing that, you will, you'll increase the amount of people being willing to put something out there. Because you'll get a star next to your name. And not just because of commenting 500 times, but because you were flagged by the person who believes you're a great part of the community. Or, you've commented X amount of times and have never been flagged negatively by the moderator or someone in charge. But by turning those tools over to the community, you got to be very careful about doing that. But yeah, that's where YouTube needs to improve beyond video. Videos, they got it. Yeah, it's great. You've done the video thing now. Now get to the meat of it. And the meat of it is the people. That's what makes YouTube, is the people. It's like Soylent Green.
Similar to Amazon and eBay, where they have like top-rated sellers and like stars.
Kind of. Kind of. I mean, the problem that arbitrary ratings are kind of difficult to get around. And that's where there has to be kind of a mix between, a machine type of learning and I mean, when you like something, it's obvious. I mean, you're making that social gesture. That's tied to you. When you dislike something, it's a negative gesture, and it's not necessarily tied to you. And YouTube is given zero incentive for anybody to even be mindful of that. But it means a lot to a content producer. If you really like it, I mean, you may be enjoying it, or a comment, or something that lets them know that there is a human being on the other side that's actually receptive to what it is that you're putting out there. It means a lot. And so I'm always looking for ways to increase that because I'm doing it anyway. I'm doing the video anyway, right? And part of that can be helped a lot, greatly by better tool sets, by someone who actually rocks what social is. Yes.
Yeah. What's your opinions on Prism?
On Prism?
Yeah, ONSA.
I thought you were going to say prison at first. I'm like, arrested? Is this... Boy, joke's on me.
Yeah, the NSA thing's been floating around a lot.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. But I believe that we are our own worst enemies when it comes to privacy. We give up a lot without realizing we're giving up a lot. There's no such thing as a free lunch, and I'm not saying that with Prism it's an issue, but we believe in America, and I believe we are kind of of the same mindset that you don't want to lose your civil liberties. That's what you have. Your life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And whether that's a credo or not, I believe that's a universal concept. I don't think freedom is something that's relative to a country. I believe it's fundamental for happiness, like freedom. And to know that data that you're putting out there may be getting picked up by someone and you potentially being flagged, it's a scary concept. So ultimately, it's like why I don't check in on Foursquare a lot. Because it's like, number one, why does anybody care where the hell I am? Number two, I'm putting data out there. I'm putting information, knowledge out there. And I don't want to put more out there than I need to put out there. And some people are a bit more than me. I'm eating, I'm doing this right now. Great. I didn't even know that. But I think fundamentally, don't worry about it. It'll die anyway. I've got 2 other batteries in here. We're good. I just want to make sure I captured at least a part of these conversations. So, government's crazy. I don't care what country you live in. I really don't. And I don't want to get into the whole, one world order or whatever they call it, the conspiracy theorists, tinfoil hat wearing people. But inevitably, we're entering a global society. I mean, I feel at home here, and I feel I could feel at home here in London as much as I feel at home in Seattle. I mean, I just feel comfortable. And I felt that comfortable, other than the language barriers in Germany and France, because we have a very similar culture. I mean, we have definitely subtle differences. For example, we call them chips. We call them crisps. So that's probably why we'll never get along. No, trust me, it's deeper than that. We call them bananas. No, I don't know. You probably call them bananas too. I didn't know you had some the French word for grapefruit is pamplemousse or was. I'm like, pamplemousse. But they changed that. I guess it's grapefruit now. I can't speak French, obviously. Prism. We're in uncharted waters now, right? We have a lot of really scary people out there, but here's the thing. There's always been scary people out there. It's like people say, kids these days. No. There have always been kids these days. Violence is horrible because of video games. Whoa. Violence was invented because video games came along? No. People have always killed people. That's a problem. The difference is there's more information out there that can better lead to potentially thwarting another, what was it, 7-7?
Yeah.
In London? Yeah. Something bad from happening. But the question is where do you draw the line between me being a threat and not being flagged with the information I'm putting out there and someone who's legitimately a threat? And governments haven't figured out how to make that work to make the world a safer place. I just don't know how I feel about a blanket. I don't like the way it's going. I don't think it's right to give up that civil liberty and saying, it's all for the good of security. Really? Because people are going to stop killing people because you have access to the information? No. You're tapping phone calls. Why? Like you can get anything that I'm putting out there. Fine, don't put it out there. And so that's it. I don't think people are going to stop putting it out there, and I also don't think it's right for them to violate that level of privacy. Of course, anybody who's shocked that Facebook violated privacy is obviously doesn't understand Facebook because the whole thing is a privacy issue. You put it out there. Don't put it out there. That's the answer. I think it's going to get worse before it's going to get better. It's a nightmare for people to wrestle with, and they just feel helpless. And I think that's the bitter irony is that you're in control. You're in control of what you put out there. It's a question of what is someone else going to do with that data and that information. And people, I got socially engineered the other day. Someone was able to gain access to an account because they knew they were able to get information through security questions it was openly on the web. And the CSR on the other end really did the wrong thing and capitulated and basically let them do what they wanted them to do, which was a mistake.
Was that hosting?
No, it was something else. I didn't want to go too far into it. Either way, the more information you put out there, the more dangerous it is for you. And there are people out there who are going to be bad no matter what. It's a question of, are you willing? I just want to opt in.